And so normally City Hall, good to go in Texas. So there I am marching in like I always do. And it's in a mobile home, which is fine. But I walk into said like temporary building and it's like, oh yeah, this is also the courthouse. So I had broken the law unintentionally without knowing because there was no way before I walked in that I could have known it was also the courthouse. We are the Armed Attorneys. Today we are giving you an update on what in the heck is going on in the Texas legislature. We have a ton of fantastic good gun bills to talk to you about, and we're going to tell you a little bit about what's going to go on the next couple months. But before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button.
And everyone, I need a prayer for my eyes because they are bleeding with spreadsheet madness and trying to keep track of everything that's happening.
He's pretending like he doesn't love spreadsheets. He loves spreadsheets.
I am pro spreadsheet, but man, this is a lot of volume that we've seen out of the Texas legislature. At the same time, we're seeing record numbers of pro and anti 2A bills filed. The Texas House is making shockingly little progress in. There's some steps they got to take. They got to read them, send them out to the committees, put them up for a vote, go to the floor. So we have these steps. We haven't gotten a single bill referred to a committee yet, which might be a record. I don't know. I'm not a historian for this stuff, but it is moving much slower than in years past.
It is. Although, man, they really, I don't know, they moved pretty slow last year. I think it's intentional.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that they quagmire it and then it's like, uh-oh. Not our fault that we didn't do the good things. I don't know.
Yeah. And, what enables us to help do a lot of this work is Gun Owners of America, Texas. If y'all aren't aware, we are the Legislative Council for Gun Owners of America. We write all their Pro 2A legislation. We're down testifying Emily's, starting feuds with lawmakers.
Hauling my butt up to start a bunch of feuds with lawmakers.
But, our state director, Lee Gibson, fantastic. She said that it's kind of like Fort Knox and that they're hiding the gold right now, and that's why nothing is being heard yet. So, but we wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of what things GOA has done thus far this legislative session, and we need your help with these things. So we're going to be talking about the bills, the committees we're watching, and what you can do to help. This session is a little bit different. We dissolved a bunch of committees, combined some committees, created some subcommittees. So I just wanted to run through the list of committees we're watching, and we'll talk about bills. The main one where we expect probably most things to land are Homeland Security, Public Safety, and Veterans Affairs, Criminal Jurisprudence, Judiciary and Civil Jurisprudence, Licensing and Administrative Procedures, State Affairs, Elections, Public Health, a subcommittee on State and Federal Relations, and a subcommittee on County and Regional Government. So I bet 90+% of our bills fall in those first three: Homeland Security, Criminal Jurisprudence, and the Judiciary, with everything else kind of being spread out over there. In the Senate, what committees do we typically watch?
So State Affairs is a big one in the Senate. We also look to Criminal Jurisprudence. We look to our General Jurisprudence Committee. The Senate is a different animal. Your public comment in the House means a lot. It means a lot. Get out there and testify when we tell you to go, because it is a big deal. The Senate is more of like a weird, closely guarded animal where everything happens in back rooms under like dark of night. I don't know. I'm not saying don't go get involved in the Texas State Senate, because surely, I mean, it is still great, but it does not have the impact. The Senate is just a different animal. I hate the Senate. Can I say that?
Sure. Why not?
Love the senators if you're watching. Hate the Senate.
Well, and so what do you need to be doing at this stage? Right now, we're just in a like situational awareness mode. Hey, this is the stuff we're tracking. You asked for it, and so we have made it publicly available. Our Gun Owners of America tracker. It's going to be linked in the description below. We're going to get this up on the GOA website very soon. This thing is updated virtually every single day. So this is all of the bills that we're watching. Now, we're going to talk about a few, and just because we don't talk about a bill doesn't mean it's not important or, hey, we don't need to be on guard for something. But I really wanted to spend our time talking about the things that we've written on behalf of GOA and behalf of GOA members to kind of, push. I mean, we need to push the bounds of the Second Amendment, self-defense, and the right to keep and bear arms. Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, no, and GOA, I think, is the best at it. So, all right, let's talk.
All right, the first one we want to talk about is HB 170 by Guillen. This relates to what a huge problem that we're having right now, which is self-defenders getting sued into oblivion. This adds some legal protections where if they hey, are successful, they claim self-defense, not only are they immune from damages, that's the current law, but now they can recover their attorney's fees, costs of court, maybe lost income, all these other things, and that should really discourage frivolous self-defense lawsuits.
Yeah, because right now, and you might be saying to yourself, aren't there already some protections built into the law? And the answer is yes, there are. However, there are protections from damages at the end of the day. If you've had to pay an attorney, and we're not cheap, $100,000 to get there, potentially more, like you've already lost. Who has that? Who can do that? So this is a really, really great mechanism to protect people and stop those scummy plaintiffs' lawyers who I hate so much from getting started in the first place.
Yeah, and a great addition to the GOA team this year is Kyle Carruth, and you can Google him and figure out his story, but this would definitely have saved his bacon. He was involved in a self-defense incident, totally justified, no build, got sued. Ultimately, this thing got resolved without him having to, I don't know the details of all of this, but this case went away, but I know he spent money out the nose defending it, and maybe if this bill was in place, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So we're excited to have Kyle. All right, what do we got next?
So we've got HB 259. This is by Representative Hayes, and this is decriminalizing short barrel rifles in Texas. So right now, we are very much, first of all, they're on the list. They're on the list of prohibited weapons. And it puts us in a situation where we feel like we're coupled to federal law. And so this was initially something we filed back in 2023. Unfortunately, it didn't make it over the finish line, but we were, of course, worried about it because when the federal government starts saying, hold on a second, all of these things are short barrel rifles. Well, what's to stop Texas from saying, yeah, sure enough?
Yeah, we're going to enforce your federal law on the state level. And last session, this made it out of committee, made it to the House floor, was about to be voted out. They ran out of time, as they always seem to do. But I would say this bill has good chances.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. Next, we have HB 925 by Briscoe Kane. This relates to the applicability of a defense to prosecution for an offense relating to the carrying of handguns for certain prohibited locations and to repealing associated notice requirements. I really like this one.
Oh, yeah. This is...
So if you look at this bill, and maybe we'll throw it up on screen, it deletes two little provisions of law that have the interesting effect of effectively eliminating gun-free zones in the state.
That has been Richard's longtime goal.
Yeah.
Get a couple beers in him and ask him about gun-free zones. So, yes, this would be phenomenal. Plus, that was the weirdest... these provisions it wants to delete were the weirdest Star Chamber compromise that came out of constitutional carry. So it's bizarre from the get-go. Let's cut it, and let's make a huge change while we're at it.
Well, and it has the effect of, all right, if you make a honest to goodness mistake, we had a guy who his dog jumped out of his truck while he was watching a high school football game, ran in to retrieve his dog, and in the meantime had a heart attack with his gun on him.
Yeah.
And then he got charged with carrying in a prohibited place. So what this does is it gives some grace, gives some leeway about gun-free zones in Texas, and it's important.
It's that time I carried into the courthouse for the cops' employment appeal. Right?
Do you remember that? Yeah, was it in a mobile home or something?
Cut and Shoot, Texas, I think, or somewhere like that.
Allegedly carried.
No, statute of limitations is run on this.
Okay.
But no, I was there. I was representing a police officer. He had been terminated. He was appealing that termination to the city. And so it was like, all right, we're going to City Hall. We're going to this meeting. We're going to go talk to everybody. And so normally City Hall, good to go in Texas. So there I am marching in like I always do. And it's in a mobile home, which is fine. But I walk into said temporary building and it's like, oh yeah, this is also the courthouse. So I had broken the law unintentionally without knowing, because there was no way before I walked in that I could have known it was also the courthouse.
Yeah, and the way the law is written now, it'd be a hard, hey, there's no defense to this. This just makes a defense to prosecution applicable for these honest-to-goodness mistakes.
Don't prosecute your Emmys for mistakes.
Yes, next one we have HB 1337 by Isaac. This is automatic reciprocity.
Yes, this is just a very good comment. I don't have much to say about this. Great common sense move. If you've got a carry permit from another state, we want Texas to say, welcome, national carriers. Come on in.
Yeah, the two things that we perceive this as fixing are, hey, what if we don't have a conservative or Republican governor in the state anymore? Well, we're taking that authority away from the governor to enter into these agreements. We're just going to recognize everyone else's license and permit to carry. And then second, a bunch of these states are contingent on, hey, we're not going to recognize your license because you don't recognize our license.
Ours.
We kind of get this, that kind of out of the way.
So next we've got HB 1923 by Verdell. This is relating to removing the requirement that an applicant for or holder of a license to carry provide fingerprints. Why do we care about the fingerprints? Well, I mean, number one, it's a pain in the butt, but more importantly, we have lots and lots of the elderly population who has lost their fingerprints.
Yeah,
And
so
if you've lost your fingerprints, you can't get a license.
no, it's terrible. One, it's this kind of really unnecessary hoop that Texas makes everybody jump through that a lot of states don't. So we'll put that there. Second, I got my ma's a nurse. She doesn't have fingerprints. She washed her hands too many times over her career, and she couldn't get a handgun license if she wanted to.
No, it really is. It's ridiculous. And like, how many times do they need our fingerprints to? Like, you don't need my fingerprints when I buy a gun. You see my background check then. The state bar has my fingerprints.
Yep.
They've got my fingerprint. Like, it. Come on, get over it.
All right, next one we got is HB 2759 by Verdell. This is relating to the unlawful possession of a firearm by a person convicted of certain felony offenses. So what this does, and we have this filed in two different forms. We'll talk about the second one in just a moment. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and what we're looking at is decriminalizing the possession of firearms by non-violent felons. So, we talk about, all right, well, that's still an infringement. Why are y'all promoting these kinds of things? I mean, we're moving the ball down the field. This is the way to go.
Forward.
I completely agree. If the person is safe enough to be released in society, they shouldn't be deprived of their Second Amendment rights. If they're so dangerous, we need to keep them locked up, theoretically, right? But this would say, hey, guess what? You got convicted of a felony window tint violation. Guess what? You don't lose your right to defend yourself.
Yes, and so we have a very similar bill, HB 2771, again by Hayes, just a slightly different wording, same idea, nonviolent felons get their gun rights. And yes, I will say, to all the absolutists out there, although in theory we hear you, in practice, that's how you get nothing done. And so what do you want? Do you want a little something done? And then next session we do a little bit more, and the next session we do a little bit more, and ultimately 6 years down the road we get what you want, right? Because that's what this is. That's what this is.
Yeah, it reminds me of the debates we had around constitutional or permitless carry here in Texas, where, obviously we wanted the age to be 18. When the bill passed, it was 21, and this is one of those things that we racked our head over. It's like, do we get 21 in permitless carry, or do we go to 18
Get nothing at all.
and get nothing at all? So it is a tough. I mean, we rack our brains on this stuff, and
But guess what? It's going to be this session.
well, that's what we're working on.
But I mean, we haven't gotten there yet. But yeah, that's the thing. It's just baby steps, baby steps. I know it's hard to wait, but it's how we get these things done.
All right, so the next one we have is HB 2879 by Isaac. This is relating to the justified use of force, including deadly force by certain persons on certain residential property or manufactured home or community property. I'm very proud of this one.
Yeah, this is your pet project.
This is my pet project. So what we have is basically renters. I mean, there's a ton of renters here in the state, and if they discharge their firearm in defense, well, guess what's happening? These folks are getting kicked out of their house. They're getting their leases terminated. They're getting kicked to the curb.
We did a whole episode about it.
Yeah, we did a whole episode about it. And guess what? It's discriminatory because we have folks who own their homes. They have a mortgage. Guess what? You don't lose your house when you defend yourself in your house. But these folks, doesn't apply to them. They're getting kicked to the curb. So we want to bring some balance here. You can't get kicked out if you're acting in self-defense. This happened in response to a woman up in Dallas. A burglar was climbing through her not even teenage daughter's window. She shot the burglar, and they threatened to evict her. I mean, that's not cool.
No. So this is a great one. All right, we've also got HB 2895 by Patterson. This is a very good one, and it's little known, but essentially what we've got here is the idea that there are violent offenses for which you can defend yourself with deadly force, but you don't get the really strong legal presumptions in Texas. And so what we'd like to do is make sure that more violent felonies are added into the law for the purposes of defending yourself. Because you may not know, Texans out there, that if someone is just simply committing the crime of aggravated assault against you, you may not get a legal presumption if you shoot them.
Yeah.
So it's a big hole.
Yeah. And so, why this matters? Well, we have a bunch of states where you say deadly force justified in response to a forcible felony. Mm-hmm. We're doing it the Texas way. And so the way that this is written, it would potentially sweep up all kinds of crimes. Like, think of our senior citizens who are disabled, or our elderly folks who are elderly. But it would give them potentially equal footing with these violent attackers and extra self-defense protections. So it's really stinking important.
All right, so now we've got SB 83. This is filed by Hall. This is relating to the carrying of concealed handguns by handgun license holders on a campus of a school district or open enrollment charter school. So this is a really fantastic bill because what we're doing here
Or
is
employee. You have to be an employee.
yeah, we're saying that if you're an employee of an ISD and you have an LTC, you get to carry into the school.
Yep.
That is such a controversial proposal for some reason. Doesn't mean you have to. It means if you feel that you are equipped to go in there and help protect the children if need be, and you have an LTC, you are allowed to. My gosh.
For employees.
For employees.
Yeah. And Dan Patrick's office added some language to this. We got our eye on you. We saw what you did, but we'll get a no. We can make this thing work, but that would be great. The best way to stop these kind of mass attacks is by being presenting the attacker with force immediately. Guess what? These guys fold immediately is what experience shows.
Yeah.
And it saves lives. All right, next one, we have SB 706 by Schwartner. This is related to the recognition of a handgun license issued by another state. We already talked about this one. It's identical to what was filed by Isaac in the Senate. But, we want to file it in both chambers. Maybe they pass a little bit faster. Last time this bill passed out of the House, got referred over to the Senate, and then they ran out of time. So we're hoping if we hit this from both directions, it'll move much quickly.
Now we have to talk about Richard's shame.
What is my shame?
That you didn't.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Well, this isn't a GOA bill, but it got filed this morning, so I was excited about it.
All right, go on. Go on with
the
the bill.
This is HB 2916 by Chairman Leach. So this is relating to the criminal and civil liability for disabling, damaging, or destroying an unmanned aircraft. Dang, I'm really kicking myself on this one.
I know Richard saw it. He was like, I can't believe I didn't write this.
So this is, and there's lots of caveats to it. But essentially, this would decriminalize shooting down trespassing drones, assuming that it's not other. If the only crime you would be charged with is like a criminal mischief, then it would be okay. So it wouldn't protect you from like discharging in municipality, deadly conduct, these other things. But if the only thing you're doing, let's say you have this giant ranch, you're out on acres, you got this trespassing drone, you shot it down. Guess what? You're not going to be held responsible for the criminal mischief. So I thought this was a good one.
Yeah.
I'm pro drone destruction when trespassing.
Absolutely.
We're not supposed to be.
Turn them into clay pigeons. Let's go.
Sure. But like we said, we're going to have this spreadsheet linked in the description. We'll even put it in the top comment and pin it. It's available for all y'all to check out. There's 2 tabs at the bottom. One is just kind of a little, hey, help support our work with Gun Owners of America, Texas. Please become a member if you're not.
Become a member.
And then the second tab is all the bill lists. If they're highlighted green, that means that they're coming out of GOA, but that doesn't mean that all those other bills aren't important. There's a lot of other stuff going on. And what we're going to do, and it's important that you subscribe to the channel because we're going to be talking about things when, hey, we need your help. We're gonna be calling on you, and what we'll try to do. I mean, I hate this when every time any bill gets filed, everybody says, this is gonna change the whole world. We're gonna really focus on things that actually matter and could have a chance of passing, and we're gonna get that onto y'all. But we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
Yes, and GOA Lobby Day is in Austin, March 11th. Go ahead and put that on your calendar. Until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.